It gives you the slope, which is rise over run, which is how far you count from your y-intercept to graph. Yes? Now, has y always been by itself in our work? No, there's been times when it hasn't been. Yes? One of those times that y is not by itself is general form. General form has an ugly cousin who is also called standard form. See, they share the same last name. Whatever. I laugh at your jokes. That suck. All right. General form has the exact same pieces as slope-intercept. It has the exact same pieces as point-slope form. It just looks different, okay? Just like all of us have two eyes, a nose, a mouth, hair, ears, but we all look different. That's it? Okay. So here is what general form looks like. AX plus BY plus C equals 0. Now notice a couple of things. There's an X. Ooh, there's an X. There's a number in front of X. Ooh, there's a number in front of X. But in this form, the number in front of X is slope, yes? Is it in this form? No, because it's not an M. Cool? Oh, it's a constant. It's a B. Just a number. Does this have just a number? Yeah. Over here, it's the y-intercept. Is it over here? No. Why not? Because y is not by itself. Everybody got it? So in this form, there's a couple of rules. The rules for this form are as follows. A and B must be whole numbers. So no fractions or decimals. No fractions or decimals. That's rule number 1. And rule number 2, A and only A must be positive. Everybody cool? Everybody good? Now, I said he's got an ugly cousin. The ugly cousin is standard form. Standard form is this. AX plus BY equals C. No 0. And all the same rules apply. Everybody cool? Now listen to me. How many ways do we have to graph an equation? If I'm going to put an equation with x's and y's on a graph, I've given you guys 4 ways to do that. What is one of them? Table of values, T-chart, whatever you call it. Yes? What's the second way? X and Y intercepts. Hey, wait a minute. X and Y intercepts. Hey, does this have an X and a Y? Suspicious. What's the third way? Slope-intercept form. Hey, does it have an X and a Y? Suspicious. What's the fourth way? Point-slope form. Does point-slope form have X's and Y's? Hey! What does that mean? Point-slope form, general form, standard form, slope-intercept form are all exactly the same thing, except algebra has been applied to them. Right? Now, I need to make sure that all of you still remember how to do algebra. So you're not going to write this down. You're just going to think for a second. Can you make y be by itself? All of you should be able to do that, yes? Do you have to follow all the same steps? I lie. You have to follow all the same steps. Do you have to do everything in the same order as your neighbor? No. But you have to do all the same steps, yes? What would be the first thing you would do? Again, don't do it. Think in your head. What's the first thing you would do if I told you I wanted y by itself? Abresia just did this. I assume she means move something. And I assume by this she means move it over something. What would you do? You would move the 4? Yeah, you'd move the 3 because you want the 4 by itself and you want it positive. Because if there's a negative in front of it, it's not by itself, is it? So that would give you 4y equals 12 minus 3x, yes? Would it also give you, and this bothers me because a lot of kids screw this up, is this the same as this? Negative 3x plus 12. It is. A lot of kids screw that up. I don't really know why, but they do. Okay, now what would you do? You would then divide by 4. What would you divide by 4? Everything. And you would get y equals 3 minus 3/4 x. Right? All of you know algebra, yes? If you're bad at algebra, what do you remember? Everything you see, you do the opposite until you have what you want by itself. Okay? No matter what you see, the question tells you. Got it? All right. So now let's apply this to graphing. Here, I have an equation. Is that in general form, standard form, point slope form, or slope intercept form? General form. Now the best way to graph general form is table of values or x and y intercepts, yes? And indeed, if you look back, the very first thing we did, graphing x and y intercepts, you will see that those equations were in standard form, weren't they? But we have since then learned an easier way to do that, yes? And that is converting to slope-intercept form. I don't know where my B went. It seems to have disappeared. Yours isn't there either? It is? Okay. So you guys start doing that right now while I answer the phone. Go for Myers. Oh, yes, I haven't come down to get that yet. Okay. Oh, hi, thanks. So, what is the difference between the yellow highlighted equation and the blue highlighted equation? What's the difference? I know you guys have eyes. What is one of the differences between the yellow highlighted equation and the blue highlighted equation? Position of the numbers, right? In the blue highlighted equation, y is what? By itself and positive. So I got to get this, so y is by itself and positive. Well, right now, y is negative and has a number in front of it. So what would be the easiest thing to do to make y one of those things we want? Move it. If I do this, as Abresia likes to show us, Wingardium Leviosa. This guy, and watch. Oh my goodness. I've never actually thought to do this. Shh. I don't want to bring the negative, remember? Because when I go over, what happens to the negative? It becomes positive, yes? So now that negative is gone. So now I have 3x plus 8 equals 2y. What's the last thing I need to do? Divide by 2 to get y by itself. What else divides by 2? Everything. Hey, 3 doesn't divide by 2, so I leave it as a fraction. 3 over 2x plus 4 equals y. Wait a minute. That I can graph without even thinking about, can't I? Where do I go? 4 on the y-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what? And then what? He accidentally circled what was needed. The slope, which is rise over run. Is that positive? So is it up or down? Up. 1, 2, 3. Is that positive? So is it left or right? How far? Are you allowed to use only 2 points? No, you should use 3, right? So if up and right gets me something, down and left will get me something. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And I make a nice straight line. And I connect it. Why do I connect it? Because it's continuous data. Because any number can go in there. Right? Can I take any number, multiply it by 3, add 8? Like I can. Everybody got it? All right. Now, look at number 2. What's different? There's no 0. Right? So, again, I want slope-intercept form because that's the easiest one to graph. Which means I need my y to be what? By itself and positive. So fix it up. 3x minus 4y equals 8. What's got to move? The 4's got a Wingardium Leviosa over here. And the 8's got a Wingardium Leviosa over here. What happens to both of their signs? 3x minus 8 equals 4y. And what's the last step? Divide everything by 4. Hey, 3 doesn't divide by 4, but it gives me that fraction. Minus 2 equals y. How do I graph that? Go to negative 2 on the y's, 1, 2, and then what? Up, 1, 2, 3, and right or left? Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then where? Down, 1, 2, 3, and left, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what do I get to do with those 3 dots? Draw a line. Why? Why? He asked excitedly. Thank you, Faith. You're my favorite. Girl. I'm just kidding. I love all of them equally. All right. What do I get to do with number 3? X and Y intercepts, yeah? It looks different. If it looks different, do I follow the same rules? If I came in here wearing a sombrero and a serape, would we still do math? Yeah, even though I would look different. By the way, I would rock a sombrero and a serape, just in case anybody cares. Yeah, you damn Skippy, I would. My girlfriend at university went to Mexico. I told her to bring me back a sombrero. Oh, yeah. She brought me a sombrero. It's like 8 feet wide. Biggest sombrero ever. Funny story, Sammy. Right after that girlfriend in university, she went off to Europe for a year. So we broke up. Right after, actually, there's a bit of overlap. We were together, and then we were living in separate towns. She went back to her town, and she was leaving for Europe in 2 weeks, and we weren't going to see each other in these 2 weeks where my pen is. And in those 2 weeks, I met the girl who would become my wife. But I didn't tell the girl who was going to Europe, because I just assumed because she was going to Europe, she figured out that we'd be broken up. Turns out she didn't. She was mad at me. But she brought me back the sombrero before I met current wife. And I kept the sombrero, biggest sombrero ever. And then I moved to Williams Lake. My wife at the time was still my girlfriend. We got married. She moved. She didn't bring the sombrero. Catherine, where's my sombrero? Throw it away. I know. And then 6 years ago, a kid went to Mexico with his family because he needed a root canal and they didn't have insurance. And it was cheaper for him to fly his whole family to Mexico to get dentistry done in Mexico than it was to get dentistry done here. So the family took a vacation. He got dental surgery. Raw deal. I told him to bring me a sombrero. There it is. I know. Notice how I'm not taking it home so my wife can't throw it out. Bag. Anyway. How'd this happen? Oh, it looks different. Even if I was wearing a serape and a sombrero, we'd still do math. So, x and y intercepts. In an x-intercept, what does that look like? x0. What's a y-intercept look like? 0y. If y is 0, what happens to that 2? Goes away. So I have 5x equals 10, yes? What do you do there? Divide by 5, and x equals what? 2. Now, here's a problem kids have. X equals 2. Where else do you see an x? Right there. What do I get to write there? 2. Now I have a number, comma, number with a graph beside it. What do I do? Put it on the graph. 1, 2, 0. You guys will tell me when you do this test, I don't know what to put where. You do all the work. You have x. You have x equals 2, and then you say, I don't know what to do. What's this one going to be? What happens to my x? Disappears. So I've got 2y equals 10. What do? Divide by 2. And what does y equal? Y equals 5. Where else is there a y? Right there. What number goes there? 5. 0, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, Myers says you always need 3 points to make sure your line is straight. So what are you going to do? Find the third point. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 down, 2 right. So where's the next point? 5 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 right. And then to quote Australian people, 2 right. That's how you draw the line. I do a bad Australian accent even when my throat isn't sore. All my accents are pretty much the same. Doesn't matter who I'm doing. They all end up sounding kind of like a bad Irish accent. I don't know why. Even my French accent morphs into that sooner or later. The longer I try to do it, the more closer it becomes to Australian/Irish, but a bad Australian Irish. Or it becomes Pepe Le Pew. One of the two. Because who doesn't love Pepe Le Pew? Of course, he's un skunk de pew. Of course he smells bad. Of course, you all know that skunks don't actually smell bad, right?
Yeah.
It's only when they spray you. And they can't pull their tail around and shoot it like a machine gun. Like Pepe Le Pew does. One time, I was in Vancouver walking down the street, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw this thing moving, and I thought it was a rat. And I looked over, and it was a skunk. But it had a limp. So it was injured. And I was like, oh, I want to protect you and save you and take you to someone who will care for you. And I went to reach for it, and then I thought, oh my God, what am I doing? There's an injured wild animal there, one that sprays gross stuff all over you when it's scared. So I stopped. Then I called Vancouver Animal Control.
By the way, the French dub of the Looney Tunes stuff, he was made Italian.
He's Italian?
In the French dub.
If you watch Looney Tunes in French, Le Tune de Looney,
Yeah, he's Italian.
he's Italian?
Yep.
Yeah, French people don't like Italians. Okay. No, Europeans are crazy. I don't get them. They don't, because you guys don't like people who live next door. Oh, German people don't like French people.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you don't.
And they don't like the Mexicans.
You do not.
Yeah.
Nine.
There was like
That's
this.
the guy who lives in Canada.
I know. I love everybody.
You don't want to know.
No, I mean, like, you should go
Treat
there.
people how you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
There was like this.
I'm just kidding, Antonio. There's 80 million Germans. Some of them might like other people. There's 70 million French people. French people don't like anybody.
Joke about themselves.
See?
Like on the map.
All right.
Italy just had its own flag.
Okay. Let's do this. We need an equation. You guys should have this. It should be your next page.
No, it's just, and we don't have it written
Nope.
down. We don't have, like, the single A, B, C, but we have the same thing.
You have what?
We have write down an example of the equation of a line. Of
But it says
form,
number 10?
And it has, and it
Oh,
has
all right.
nothing written.
Oh, okay. All right. So, give me a number between 1 and 10. Everyone says 7. Now give me a number between 1 and 10.
0.
But 10 is still nowadays.
Yes. I didn't say it wasn't.
Why did you have those?
Calm down.
That's
Jeez. There's an equation. Yeah? Prove to me that you just listened to the last 20 minutes. Change that into everyone that I want. First one is slope-intercept form. What is slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. So y's got to be, y is isolated and what? And positive. Go. Would anyone like the magic pen? You guys make it no fun. Would anybody like to guide the magic pen? Pretend I'm a drone. No? Would anyone like to choose the color ink I write in? Got something. So what's wrong with this? The y is neither by itself nor Oh, it is positive. So I only got to fix up one thing, yeah? So I got to get y by itself. So what has to move?
7x.
I'm going to move everything else because the y is already positive. So what is it? My next step going to look like when I show my work on my test? What should I write here? 9y equals negative 7x minus 18. Now what? Divide everything by 9. Y equals negative 7/9 x minus 2. Yeah? Yeah. Now, you guys are smart kids. In this form, I have y equals mx plus b, don't I? B is my y-intercept, isn't it? So it's 0, negative 2, yes? Everybody agree? And isn't that a point on the graph? So do I have slope and point? So do I automatically have point slope form? Do I? That's because you were hanging out with Philip. That was the day you weren't here. Did you watch the video? That hurts, man. If you took the time to make a video every single day, Antonio, I would watch it. A better question is, you bring your buddy all the way from Germany on his school holiday and then bring him to school?
Yes, that's what we do here.
I know. Don't tell the rest of them. I know. You should tell the government so they actually make our schools as difficult as everywhere else should be. Because then maybe we wouldn't be falling behind the rest of the world. There's a reason Germany has the strongest economy in the whole world. None of you heard that. Because as you all know, in Canada, we always follow praise above criticism every time. Because if you're doing something wrong, nobody needs to tell you why you're doing it wrong. They only need to talk about what you're doing right. Yes. It also annoys every person in the world until they're the ones being criticized. And then they get angry. I know that. You're talking to the choir. I'd say preaching, but all right. So, do I have point and a slope? Yes. Point slope form looks like this. y2 minus y1 equals m x2 minus x1. And remember, these are the points. These are the graph points. But what is the thing we had to remember about it? Yeah, they're opposite. So, y, what's my y point that I know? Negative 2. So this would be y minus minus 2, wouldn't it? Y minus minus 2. Do we write that in math class? What do we write? Y plus 2 equals, what's my m? Negative 7 over 9. Yeah? X minus 0. What? Would I ever write that? No. But it's there, isn't it? Everybody cool? All right. General form. Am I already in general form? Of course I am. So I don't have to make any changes there, do I? It's just 7x plus 9y plus 18 equals 0. What about standard form? 7x plus 9y equals negative 18. Now, all of these look very similar except point slope form, yes? Because in point slope form, I can put any number from the graph there, can't I? Any number, yes? Right? And here's what I mean by that. I know I've got a point, dummy, at 0, negative 2, yes? And I know the slope is 7/9, yes? So up 7, negative 1, 0, then up to 5, and out 7, yes? So this point out here is 7, 5. Can I put that back into point slope form? I can. It would be y minus 5 equals 7/9 x minus 7, wouldn't it? And then check. X is 7. What letter is that? X. So what can I put there? 7. 7 minus 7 is 0. 0 times 7/9 is 0, yes? What letter does that represent? Y. What letter is that? So what can I write there? What's 5 minus 5? Does 0 equal 0? So that point's going to be on the graph too. What if I were to go up another 7 and over 9 more? Where would I be? What would be up 7 from 5? He waited patiently. Up 7 from 5, guys. He waited while silence descended on his grade 10s who were trying to add 7 and 5. Thank goodness there was a German in the class. The run... Oh, I screwed that up. The rise is 9. So what did it need to be? I went up 9. No! Rise over run. I was right. 12. And then I run 9. I went up 7 from 5 to 12. And then how far do I have to run? 9. Which is 7 to what? 16. Is that an X? Why are you confused? This was on our line, yes? Then we did the slope, and we got the next point on the line, yes? Slope was 7 over 9. I'm about to explain that. 7 over 9 was our slope, yes? Oh, crap, it was negative 7/9. Doesn't matter, the point is still valid. Up 7 over 9, yes? Where would the next point be? Up 7 over 9, 16 and 12, yes?
So I think we started at 0.
We started at 0, 2.
So why are we then at 7? Why are we then at 5 and not at 9?
Because we went up 7
Yes. Then we are at...
from negative 2, up 7.
Oh,
I didn't run far enough. There we go, 9, 5.
yeah.
That's what I screwed up. And then I went up 7 more, up, and then I ran 9 to get to 18. Cool? That is an X and that's a Y, right? Can that go in here? Where would it go? Y minus, not Y, 12 minus 5 equals 7/9. 18 minus, it should have been, but it doesn't matter because I'm just trying to show you that the points will always substitute in. What's 12 minus 5? 7. What's 18 minus 7? 11. 18 minus 9. This should have been 9 because I screwed it up, right? Because it should have been 9 right there. 18 minus 9 is 9. 9's cancel, and I'm left with 7. 7 equals 7. The point I'm trying to make, even though I screwed up, is that no matter where we go, you can still substitute back in. See, the only thing I did wrong there is this shouldn't have been 9 and 5. It should have been down here. It should have been negative 9 and 5, right? Because the slope should have gone that way. But then we would have had this point over here, and we could have subbed it back in. Okay? The point I'm trying to make is x's are always x's, y's are always y's. No matter what form we have, as long as you have a point on the graph, it can go into any of the 4 forms. That's what I'm trying to say. So you guys should have this now. Do you? All right. So y minus 4 equals 2/3 x plus 2. And I want general form. What is general form? ax plus by plus c equals 0. What's the key here? One of those is special. Which is the special one? A. A must be what? A must be positive, and A and B must be whole. Okay? What else is missing from here that's in here? What do you see in this form that is not here? No. C is just a number. There's a number. Look closer. Yep. You see a fraction. Are there fractions allowed here? No. What else is here that isn't allowed here? Brackets. I got to get rid of those brackets, yes? I got lots of ways to get rid of those brackets, right? I can distribute, right? Or I can get rid of that fraction right away. I'm going to distribute. Y minus 4 equals 2/3 x, yes? Plus what? 4/3. Now what do you see that's ugly? I got 2/3 x. Am I allowed to have a fraction in front of x? What gets rid of that? Multiply by 3. What multiplies by 3? Everything, right? So this has to times by 3. This has to times by 3. And this has to times by 3. What do I get on this side? 3y minus 12. What happens to these 3's? Cancel. 2x. What happens to these 3's? Cancel. Plus 4. Am I almost there? Now what? Should I move the x? Why? Because it's already positive and it's already whole. So x isn't moving. Y is moving. 2x minus 3y. What do I do with this negative 12? Plus 12. And what does all that equal? Plus 12 plus 4, yep. And so what does all that equal? Plus 16 equals 0. And it's the same thing. Is everybody good? All we're doing is algebra. So this is the last thing I want you guys to do, and then I'm going to shut up and give you work to do. Y plus 3 equals negative 1/3 x minus 1. And I need all the rest of the forms. Does it matter? Does it matter which one I do first? In any way? Yes or no? No, it doesn't. Because if you find one The other 3 are just moving that one around, yes? So what do you guys want to do first? You want to do slope-intercept? Because it's already got a slope, yeah? Okay, so slope-intercept is the first one we're going to do, which is y equals mx plus b. So y needs to be alone and no brackets, right? So what should I do first? What do you want to get rid of first? Get rid of the brackets. Okay. Y plus 3 equals negative 1/3 x plus 1/3. Yes? Everyone agree? Okay. Remember, my job right now is to get y alone. What now? Move the 3. Y equals negative 1/3 x. 1/3 minus 3. Uh-oh, fractions. What would be 0 minus 3? There's 0. What would be 0 minus 3? Negative 3, right? But we're not starting at 0. We're starting at 1/3 away from 0. So my answer must be 1/3 this way, yes? Which is 2 2/3, correct? Minus 2 2/3. Is that allowed in slope-intercept form? Yes or no? It's supposed to be a half. We're doing a third. That's okay. It's all right. I read it as a third. I'm sick and I'm old and tired. That's okay. Watch. I can fix it. Oh, I'm right. Are we good? Is that allowed in slope-intercept form? Can I find an intercept of negative 2 2/3? It'd be right there, yes? So am I okay? Am I done? Yes or no? Yeah. So I have one of them done, right? So what's the next one you want to do? General form? That just means getting rid of all the fractions, yeah? So general form, I need ax plus by plus c equals 0. So everything on one side, a positive, and no fractions. So what would I need to move here? I need the number that's with x to be positive. Is it? So am I going to move it? So I'm going to get 1/3 x plus y. What happens to this guy? He's got to move over too, doesn't he? What does he become? Positive 2 2/3, right? I'm going to make him 8/3. Everybody knows why, yeah? Okay. Are any fractions allowed in general form? Yes or no? How do I get rid of these fractions? Times by what? 3. What happens to these 3's? Cancel. Single x. Is x by himself? Is x positive? If we wrote that number there, would it be a whole number and positive? 1x, is that okay? Yep. Then I multiply this by 3. Plus 3y plus multiply this by 3. What happens to those 3's? Cancel, and I get 8. And what does that equal? 0. Is everybody cool with that? And what's my third one that I need to do? Standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. So what's the only thing there that's got to move? The 8. x plus 3y equals -8. And a whole bunch of work just disappeared. Maybe it'll come back, maybe it won't. Any problems? Now, I know I screwed up a few things today because I counted that slope backwards. But that wasn't the point of that lesson, yeah? The point of that is that x and y always work. And I read that as a 3 instead of a 2. Does that matter? No, because you're still doing the same math. Good? All right. Have a look at 384. I would highly recommend doing a few questions, especially at this end of things. And then if I am not mistaken, your purple book should have a review as the very next thing, yes? Page 165, yes? Yeah? So, I want you to have a look at 384. I want you to do page 165 to 66 in your purple book. And then tomorrow, Tuesday, you're going to get a review on this unit. Which will be tested Thursday. Okay? Everybody good? Now, if you look in your purple book on page 167, you see that 167, 168, 169 and 170 is a whole unit. We're going to do that in one day, Friday. I'm not going to test you on it. And then next week, we're going to do our last unit. Now, we should have finished that last unit this Friday, right? But we lost 5 days. That should have been my review time. Sorry. But remember, the exam week, the mornings are X blocks. So if you're worried about math, you can come here and get any amount of help you need on any unit you need. Okay? Also remember, on your final exam, you'll be getting a data booklet that has all these forms on it. You don't even need to memorize them. Okay? Everybody good? All right. So that's what you need to do over the course of the next 3 days. Page 384, page 165 to 166, and tomorrow I'm going to give you a review on this that you'll work on with, hopefully, Mrs. Ahrens. All right? I'm also going to leave her, even though she doesn't need it because she's a math teacher, I'm going to leave a key. In a perfect world, you guys, you would make sure you get that review done tomorrow in your 80 minutes. So you can mark it tomorrow. No big deal if you don't. We can always mark it Wednesday because you're not testing till Thursday. Okay? Everybody good? If you get it marked tomorrow, we'll do that last unit on Wednesday because it applies directly to this graphing stuff anyway. And that'll get us 1 full day of review at the end of next week. Maybe 2. Cool? So it only helps you if you get this review done tomorrow. Yeah? Okay, I'm shutting up. Go.